Welcome to the debate. Today we're diving into the architecture of the Sanjino Online Exam Builder. It's a pretty comprehensive management system designed for institutional assessment and reporting. And right at the heart of how this system quantifies success is its distinct standardized scoring mechanism.
Exactly. And that calculation, that single number, it's really more than just a metric. It kind of represents a fundamental choice in assessment philosophy, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. So the central question before us today is whether this calculated, standardized score, the one uniformly presented on that 0 to 10,000 scale, is actually the optimal and, maybe more importantly, sufficient core metric for assessment analysis across an entire institution. Or does it maybe oversimplify things, reducing the essential nuance we get from the system's frankly quite extensive raw performance data? My position is that the standardized scoring is, critical. It's the necessary mechanism for any meaningful comparative analysis and for practical administrative utility.
And I'm going to argue that the true pedagogical value, the stuff you can actually act on, resides not in that single high-level aggregated number, but really in the specific granular raw data that Sanjino meticulously collects. That's the data that speaks to individual student learning needs.
Okay, let's lay out the case then. Sanjino is built first and foremost, let's be clear, as a robust tool for high-stakes, competitive, and large-scale examination management. Now, when you're managing thousands of assessments, the standardization of the output isn't just a nice-to-have. It's a necessity for any kind of strategic oversight. The standardized score, it's derived from that simple but pretty powerful formula, round raw score divided by total questions times 1,000. This gives you the only truly reliable basis for comparison across really disparate examinations. I mean, think about the institutional challenge, right? How do you meaningfully compare, say, a short 10-question departmental quiz in physics where a student maybe scored 8 points to a huge, comprehensive 100-question chemistry final where a student got 75 points? The raw scores themselves, they're just incomparable apples and oranges.
Incomparable in sheer magnitude, yes, I'll grant you that. But not incomparable in terms of the insight they might offer.
Well, this is precisely why the uniform 0 to 10,000 scale is so crucial. It's the common denominator, you see. It allows administrators to effectively use those core reporting dashboards, like the school summary report or the student progress report. These tools need that consistency to track long-term trends and assign an overall performance status as a student: excellent, average, or maybe requires serious effort. Those status labels, they're mapped directly to defined ranges within that standardized 10,000-point scale based on the score levels table. If we tried to rely on raw scores alone, those crucial summary reports would become utterly meaningless the moment you look beyond one specific test. The standardized metric is really the efficiency engine for the administrative side of things.
I understand the appeal, the demand for efficiency and, centralized tracking. I really do. But I believe that efficiency comes at a pretty steep cost, the cost of necessary context. The system provides multiple raw data points for a reason, doesn't it? If you look inside the core student attempt data in the exam attempts table, Sanjino stores fields like the raw score itself, the count of correct answers, the count of wrong answers, and the count of unanswered questions. And critically, it also stores what we might call the non-penalized raw score data. Raw score, no wrong.
That diagnostic data is certainly helpful for teachers, I won't deny that, but it doesn't really serve the central goal of large-scale comparability, does it?
But it proves the system itself acknowledges the inherent complexity of assessment. The standardized score in its single kind of reductive nature might simplify performance neatly for the administration, sure, but it fundamentally fails the educator who needs to actually diagnose learning gaps. A standardized score of, say, 4,500 tells us that the student performed poorly relative to whatever standard is set. Okay, but it gives us absolutely zero indication of why. Was it a genuine lack of knowledge, or was it perhaps extreme risk aversion because the institution uses that negative marking policy pretty aggressively? For academic leaders trying to improve teaching, the true value of the Sanjino platform is actually found in reports like the question analysis report. That's the one evaluating item difficulty, option distribution, this granular information, the stuff that should drive curriculum decisions, is entirely, completely excluded from that single standardized 0 to 100,000 metric. So I come at it from a different way. That standardized number tells us little about what needs fixing in the curriculum or the question bank. It's just too blunt an instrument for real pedagogical improvement.
Okay, let's focus back on that comparability issue for a second, because I think that is the foundational design choice here. Standardization ensures that when you look at the student progress report and it plots a trend line across a student's entire academic career, multiple subjects, multiple years, the results are fundamentally coherent. They make sense together. This function is absolutely vital for things like academic counseling, for ensuring long-term accountability, especially in, competitive institutions. How can counseling staff possibly advise a student effectively if their historical performance data looks like just an incoherent jumble of different tests with different maximum scores?
I acknowledge the practical utility of that nice, clean, long-term line graph, okay? But my contention remains that this imposed uniformity often masks really critical pedagogical details. And Sanjino's on design kind of implies a need for context anyway, by allowing institutions to define their own custom performance thresholds and score levels. For example, the fact that an institution might specifically label the range 4,800 to 5,299 as average proves that even they know the 5,000 mark isn't some universally objective standard. It requires interpretation. And this whole idea of clean standardization, well, it breaks down entirely when you confront it with the system's support for aggressive negative scoring.
You must be referring to the intentional integrity features built into the system?
Yes, exactly. Sanjino often uses negative marking, right? Where incorrect answers actually deduct points sometimes as much as 0.33 per wrong answer directly from the raw score before standardization. Now, when we look at some of the extreme cases shown in the reports, we see examples like this one student, Liam Miller, who actually ended up with a small negative raw score. This then translated, using the formula, into a standardized score of negative 310.
Which is statistically possible, of course, when students have significantly more penalizing wrong answers than they have positive correct ones. It reflects a certain pattern of answering.
Precisely. But here's the rub. The resulting standardized score of negative 310 then falls completely outside of the system's own defined performance threshold. The result? A performance status logged as undefined. Now, if the core administrative metric, the standardized score, cannot even fit properly into the grading scale the system itself uses, and it renders an undefined status, well, it immediately forces the administrator or the teacher right back to the raw counts. How many correct, how many wrong, how many unanswered, just to figure out what actually happened. In this critical high-stakes scenario you describe, the standardized score, purely on its own, is analytically useless. It's become an administrative dead end.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective. I fundamentally disagree that the standardized score is useless in that case. You're characterizing it as a failure, but I see it differently. The negative scoring, as we both agree, is an intentional mechanism. It's designed specifically to discourage random guessing, to ensure high test integrity. The standardized result reflects that outcome, negative score and all. When a score comes out as negative 310 and it registers as undefined, that is not a flaw in the standardization process. That result is in fact an immediate and incredibly potent administrative flag. It signals that the performance wasn't just marginally low, it was structurally, fundamentally flawed. It often indicates a complete lack of mastery, or, perhaps more critically, a policy violation like rampant guessing. So the standardized result reflects risk, it reflects integrity, and it reflects mastery, not just a simple tally of correct bubbles. It has actually fulfilled its primary duty, alerting the system to an anomaly that absolutely requires investigation. Without the standardization that leads to such flags, all high-level reports become incomparable noise when things go really off the rails or when integrity is compromised.
The alert itself might be helpful, okay? But the resolution relies entirely on those specialized reports. reports that are built completely on that microdata you seem to be claiming is secondary. Take the question analysis report again, tracking the percentage correct for each individual item, looking at the distribution across the answer options. That's the only way a teacher or curriculum developer can figure out if, say, question 4 was inherently flawed, or if the entire cohort just failed to grasp a specific concept. That data, that insight, it's pulled directly from the granular student attempt records, the student answers table, not from the aggregated standardized score. To make those data-driven educational decisions everyone talks about, administrators must ultimately engage with these granular reports. The standardized score might raise the flag, but it doesn't provide the map.
Okay, but I would argue that the standardized score serves as the crucial administrative trigger for precisely that deeper analysis. It's the starting point. When the class performance report, for instance, shows a concerning average standardized score, let's say 3,200 for Class 9B, it immediately signals to the relevant staff that they need to drill down. And then, yes, they must use the question analysis report or similar tools to identify the specific poorly performing questions or curriculum gaps. The standardized score acts as the necessary entry point for the administrator's workflow, providing that essential high-level health check required for efficient management of large student populations. You can't start by analyzing every single answer on every single test for thousands of students.
But the system's own architecture, its very foundation, proves where the true analytical priority lies, doesn't it? Look at the underlying data structure. The student answers table records the selected option ID and the correctness for every single question attempted by every single student. The absolute foundation of the Sanjino system is built on this microdata. The standardized score is merely an aggregation layer, something applied relatively late in the process, essentially during the submission or grading phase. Reports like the detailed answer view, viewanswers.php I think it is, which are available to teachers, they illuminate the specific micro-failures. They show the student's selected choice right next to the correct answer. That is what's required for genuine constructive learning and feedback. Teachers rely on that specific, contextual feedback, not some abstract standardized number that washes out all the detail.
The system's design prioritizes the standardized score partly because it inherently incorporates those integrity checks we've discussed. The use of negative scoring, combined with all the automatic security measures captured during the exam itself, like tracking tab switching or attempts to disable browser functions, means the final standardized result is therefore a high-fidelity, comprehensive measure of performance under secure conditions. It effectively bundles policy adherence and outcome together into one comparable figure.
Rigorous challenge is essential here, I think, especially when we might be discussing educational policy that's kind of masked as purely technical implementation. Okay, while the final standardized score is useful for competitive ranking and, yes, administrative accountability, we absolutely must note that Sanjino also captures and stores that specific, non-penalized raw score data, the raw score no wrong. The mere presence of that non-penalized score, the one that deliberately ignores the negative marking policy, it points to its intended use. It's a functional feature clearly tailored for formative assessment. Its purpose is diagnosis, participation, understanding gaps, not punishing mistakes, which is crucial sometimes. So by defaulting the high-level dashboards and all the administrative status mapping, score levels, almost exclusively to the penalized standardized score, the system risks structurally steering institutions toward a purely punitive summative assessment model. It potentially overlooks the immense diagnostic utility of those non-penalized scores, which are equally present right there in the database and are arguably far more useful for teachers who are actually trying to encourage student engagement without the constant fear of permanent grade damage from guessing on tough questions.
I see it differently. I think the standardized score, including the potential penalties, forces the institution to be explicit about its policy on assessment integrity. If an exam is designated as high stakes and competitive, well, then the penalty for guessing is a necessary policy lever, isn't it? And the standardized score ensures that lever is accurately and consistently reflected in the final outcome, regardless of the test length or the subject. Now, providing the non-penalized score in the background, sure, that's a great resource for the teacher to use when offering feedback or doing formative checks.
but it simply cannot be the primary basis for the kind of administrative comparison or institutional accountability that Sanjino's often competitive client base requires.
The standardized score provides that necessary common denominator for strategic decision-making across the board, something that's frankly impossible to achieve if you force administrators to constantly reconcile dozens of different context-dependent raw scoring totals from every single assessment. We have to maintain that macro view when setting the primary metric for high-level reporting.
And I maintain that while the standardized score certainly provides a functional ranking, and yes, a mechanism for that macro comparison, the true analytical depth, the real value of Sanjino lies in the rich, granular data collected down at the student and question level. The raw correct counts, the wrong counts, the unanswered counts, the detailed breakdown of individual answers on specific items, those are the essential inputs for actionable educational policy and effective curriculum design. Without that context, the 0 to 1,000 number risks becoming just a label, potentially a misleading one.
And I'll conclude by reiterating that the standardized score, derived as it is from a raw score that intentionally incorporates integrity features like negative marking, is a necessary and highly efficient abstraction. It allows Sanjino to actually fulfill its core promise, providing clear, comparable performance metrics. These are essential for administrative oversight and that crucial high-level macro tracking we need, from the individual student progress report all the way up to the school summary report. And it does all this within the defined boundaries and assumptions of a secure testing environment.
And I'd summarize by saying the real strength of the platform isn't ultimately in that single aggregated number, however convenient it might seem. It's in its diverse and quite powerful reporting suite that allows educators and administrators alike to contextualize those results using the underlying raw counts, the item difficulty levels derived from them, and even the customizable score status labels they set themselves. The data's there for nuance. The assessment policy should really embrace and utilize it fully.
It seems the structure of the Sanjino system itself ultimately reveals this robust and maybe unavoidable tension between the institutional need for administrative simplification and comparability on one hand, and the pedagogical requirement for comprehensive, contextualized insight on the other. I suspect further exploration of exactly how different institutions navigate this tension, how they leverage both the standardized score and the underlying raw data, will continue to deepen our understanding of this admittedly very powerful platform.